Back with us on the SportsMax zone, the International Olympic Committee has recommended that global sports organizations ban Russian and Belarusian athletes from all competitions as the fallout from Russia's invasion of the Ukraine continues. Some organizations have already responded. World Curling, they've removed the European Curling Championships from the Russian city of Perm. The federation in charge of volleyball cancelled the Men's World Championships due to be held in Russia in August and September. World Taekwondo have also active. No events will be staged in Russia, and Vladimir Putin has been stripped of his black belt by the Taekwondo Federation. The International Tennis Federation has cancelled all events set for Russia, and that cancellation is indefinite. And the WTA, the Women's Tennis Association, and the men's equivalent, the ATP, have done their bit as well. The blacklisting has also extended to World Rowing, World Archery, World Rugby, the Union of Cyclists International, World Athletics, the International Skating Union, the Ski Federation, FIBA, that's the body that controls international basketball, and of course FIFA and UEFA, along with the Badminton World Federation. So it's a coordinated action, coordinated blacklisting of the Russian by multiple sporting organizations. Meanwhile, Chelsea's billionaire owner, Roman Abramovich, says he will sell the club if he can find a buyer willing to put up £3 billion. Abramovich says net proceeds from the sale will be placed in a fund that will help victims of the war in Ukraine, both Russian and Ukrainian. Meanwhile, Russia says it will go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to appeal the decision by both FIFA and UEFA to ban the country from international competitions. This is a statement. It says the RFU will appeal to CAS in Lausanne against the decision taken by FIFA and UEFA. As part of a single lawsuit against two organizations, the RFU will demand the restoration of all men's and women's national teams of Russia in all types of football in the tournaments in which they took part, including in the qualifying round of the World Cup in Qatar, as well as compensation for damage, if any, will be installed. So yeah, that's what the Russians are on. And my question to you is, are they likely to get justice, you think?
Not based on the fact that a lot of lives are being lost, George. You look at me and you smile, and to be honest, it's such a serious situation when people are losing their lives. The entire world is in chaos, you know. It's affecting every one of us, like every day on the show. Let's just use, for example, I mean, for us to speak about something that we're not in the middle of, you know, missiles coming at us, or family members crying for help, you don't know where to go, what tomorrow will bring. I mean, we sit here and it does affect us. It affects sports. Every day it's the center of discussion. I mean, it has a lot of our products being affected. Champions League, something that we were looking forward to, you know, being relocated. So all I'm saying is that, you know, this decision, the people making the decision are left with no choice. Now, the Court of Arbitration for Sport seems to be where everybody turns to when they feel as if their hands are tied. Now, I understand what the Russian Football Association is saying, George, that, okay, we didn't do anything. Our athletes had nothing to do with this. But at the end of the day, they are the same people. It just doesn't look good. And it just makes the rest of the other athletes feel a bit unsafe. And I know most sporting bodies want to ensure that the athletes competing feel as if they're safe.
Well, you know, oh boy, what if I told you that there's a strong chance of Russia winning?
You'd have a good case. Go right ahead.
To tell you or to convince you?
To convince me.
All right, here's the thing.
You remember, you're a lawyer.
No, I'm
go ahead.
I'm not. I'm a poor man's lawyer. Here's the thing, though. Unless FIFA, well, no, Russia have appealed. So the decision by FIFA and UEFA, on one hand, Russia's appeal on the other hand, and CAS slam bam in the middle. Russia will be onto something if they can prove that nothing in the FIFA charter or the FIFA statutes says explicitly or otherwise that a country who wages war on another country or invades another country or seizes sovereign territory for another country should be kicked out of international competition or continental competition, as in the case of UEFA. No. To be honest with you, I don't recall, and I've been thinking about it, I don't recall from my knowledge of FIFA's statutes if there's anything as explicit as that.
I don't think so. But I want to jump in.
Yeah,
I just want to say something.
yeah.
I know how these statutes are written,
Yeah.
and there's always a loophole for FIFA to get the upper hand. So I'm sure.
Well, I'm not sure of that, and that's the point I'm making. I'm not sure because I'm saying unless it is, if it is that FIFA now will be required to say, okay, the grounds for us throwing them out are this. Remember, you know, for FIFA to say that we've turfed out Russia, and for UEFA to say we have turfed out Russia because they invaded another country is fine and good. But is that within the rules that govern FIFA and UEFA?
But it must have something about making other athletes feel unsafe or jeopardizing the lives of other athletes.
Well, FIFA would have to then provide a canvas of those other athletes up to the point when they were making the decision to say, well, Kaz, see here, we did this survey or we got this feedback, and this is the weight of the feedback that compelled us to make the decision. They can't come after the fact and say, okay, you said we have to have that feedback, let's go and ask the athletes. And no, it can't work. So I'm saying...
But George, that is in the public domain. A lot of athletes coming out and saying they don't want to compete.
It could be the public domain, but is it written in FIFA's laws? Is it written in UEFA's laws? And that's the most important thing, because it can't be that because war is a bad thing, and we all agree. It can't be because Russia shouldn't be in Ukraine killing people, as we all agree, and that those are the reasons for you making the decision. It has to be a part of the rule book that guides both FIFA and UEFA. And make no mistake, if the Russians knew that there was zero chance of this succeeding, they wouldn't have appealed. They've appealed because they want a chance to defend it, to prove to CAS that it was a heretic decision made by FIFA and UEFA, and that it can't stand on any legal ground. And then CAS will have to overturn, and then FIFA and UEFA say, well, CAS could overturn till thy kingdom come. You are not playing any football against any of our member nations because nobody is going to play. And that's another part of it.
The entire tournament.
And that's another part of it, but I'm just saying, just remember this. It has to be written in both the FIFA and UEFA statutes. It can't just be the UN thing, because the UN and the FIFA, UN charter and the way that organization is run is a mutually exclusive event from how FIFA is structured, how UEFA is structured, and those rules. The suspension must accord with those rules of those two organizations for the result to hold. And that's why I'm saying there's at least an outside chance that this may be overturned, and you have another chapter of bacchanal, as they'd say in TNT, to deal with.
You're well, no. What they're towing, though, George, the line is that they didn't get the opportunity to present their side.
Well, even that, so that's a denial of natural justice. Although, so look, if it is in the statute, then FIFA could say, well, as section so-and-so says, if one country invades another country, you would have automatically waived your right to a hearing, because that means that FIFA can act unilaterally and singularly to make a decision without giving you the usual facilities and avenues to be heard before a decision is made. But that's only if that is in the rules. So we better pray that that's in the rules. Although FIFA can always say, well, yeah, regardless of what CAS rules, you're still not playing. There you go.
Out of time, or do we talk about Roman Abramovich?
No, I think you... I thought we were out of time. You want to... Yeah, let's talk about Roman Abramovich.
No, I just felt, when the decision came, it really... I'm not a Chelsea supporter. I mean, I own a Chelsea jersey, but that doesn't make me a supporter.
What that has to do with anything?
I think... No, I'm just going to explain. I feel as if all I've known about Chelsea is the fact that, they have this billionaire boss who is like their protector, that person that ensures that you have the best players. He's really left a legacy where Chelsea is concerned. He has this personality where you don't produce results, we get rid of you, and it has worked for Chelsea. So I just feel as if now that he won't be around anymore, George, maybe we will be seeing a different sort of Chelsea.
Well, we definitely will. Look, put this in context. When he came in 2003, so Sir Alex Ferguson would have lasted for the first 10 years of the Abramovich era. In those 10 years, there's no doubt, Fergie was the most influential person in British football. But Fergie went in 2013, and Abramovich continued up to this point. he is without doubt the most influential figure in British sport. Don't forget, before Roman Abramovich at Chelsea and him buying the club from Ken Bates, there was no such thing as financial fair play. Chelsea were the ones who caused the UEFA to, no man, financial fair play, because how are you being able to afford to buy these players for these huge sums and pay them these huge salaries,
and the best managers,
and the club is not making that kind of money? Remember, I was saying to you on Tuesday's show when we heard that he was up for sale for $3 billion. I told you, no, he's not getting that for it. Well, if $3 billion is what he says he wants, he will not get £3 billion for it. But the point is, he has been so good for the club and for the fans. But he had no choice but to do what he's doing now. From the minute, look, it started with the Labour MP, Chris Brandt, who called his name in the House of Commons. I think he was the second MP to do so, because the former Brexit Secretary, David Davis, on the other side, on the Conservative side, had called it some time ago, but not in the way that Chris Brandt did. And then Wednesday morning, when I woke up to watch Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons, I nearly spilled my tea when I heard the leader of the opposition, Keir Starmer, mention Roman Abramovich by name and asked the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, why is he not on the sanction? I said, yes, the walls have collapsed now. And he realizes that they're going to take those assets and he has to get rid of them quickly in order to get his proceeds and run. So that's the situation he's placed himself in, where it's a normal situation where someone just offered to buy the club, he could negotiate and drive up the price. They all know that in business you call this a depressed sale. A distressed sale, rather. He has to sell. Either he gets whatever he can for it, or he gets zero. The negotiations will be good, Mariah. If I need to call Lance and ask him to give me a loan, a small loan.
You've been sticking, because I've been seeing some offers coming out
Whittaker, I need to get a small. If Conor McGregor can afford to buy Chelsea, Lance can buy Chelsea.
All right. Well, let's tell our viewers what's still to come. Still to come on the SportsMax zone, West Indies to face host New Zealand in the opening match of the ICC Women's World Cup, which starts tonight at the Bay Oval. We discuss the West Indies' chances, and in our NBA segment, we ask, does Steph Curry have anything to prove this season? We also have Out the Track with George and our daily interactive segment, and one more zone update. Stay with us.